Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of Bike News, the monthly look back at all that's been going on in the world of motorcycles here in the UK, at least according to MCN. I've got 4 issues to get through, so grab yourself a brew, let's get on with it. Right, welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in to Bike News once again. Did I mention this is for the month of March 2025? Don't think I did. March 2025 gone already, quarter of the way through the year. Bayek, doesn't time fly? I'm getting old. Anyway, let's crack on then. Right, first story, following up with actually something I think we mentioned on the last Bike News, and that is the Nürburgring. It says here, ring restriction. Nürburgring bans bikes except for just 4 days, and all with supervision. Motorcyclists planning to take a lap of the world-famous Nürburgring have been restricted to just 5 days all year, all under supervision of trained guides. Announced as part of a safety restructure, the move does away with shared sessions between bikes and cars. Now, this is a shame, isn't it? Because the Nürburgring has always been one of those kind of, almost like a rites of passage thing for bikers. We all want to go to the Nürburgring and take the bikes around it. But there's no doubt it is very dangerous. And we hear reports, don't we? I'm sure we've all got mates that have been there and have mixed it with cars and, Porsches come flying by and it's all, very dangerous. And they do have a lot of accidents. So this obviously is something to help with that. It's a safety move, but it is a bit of a shame, isn't it? It means you can only go there on particular times and you have to go around with the guides. So I don't know how fast the guides are going to be, probably pretty quick, but nonetheless, it's not the same as doing your own thing around there, is it? And it's a shame. There's sort of an ongoing issue with access to things like this. There's a story a bit later on in Bike News about Silverstone bringing back Trackdays for bikes. You remember they banned those, I think, 2 years ago, but they are coming back. We'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, but it's not all that, it's not all good news. Anyway, so there we go. So that's a shame, isn't it? Nürburgring, no longer open access for bikers whenever you like. What do you think about that? Is that bad news for you, or do you just think it's a sensible move? I'll be interested to hear your views in the comments below. Alrighty, expect more hit singles. Nice headline, MCN. See what you did there. Spy Shots reveal new Triumph 400 Duo during on-track development. So this is a very exciting story as far as I'm concerned. I love small bikes. They just, I don't know, back to basics riding is something I really enjoy. And the smaller bikes that have been coming around of late from the likes of Royal Enfield and the 400s from Triumph have just given that sort of feel and fun factor back. And great news that it looks like, according to some Spy Shots, Triumph are working on some new 400 singles as well to join their existing lineup with the Scrambler and the road-based one, the Speed 400. It says here, it looks as if 2 more machines are coming to market powered by the firm's 398cc single-cylinder engine, with these Spy Shots appearing to show both a café racer and more rugged retro variant. Both models were photographed being ridden on a racetrack in warmer climes. Can't blame them for that. According to our sources, the duo could be called the Speed 400 RR and Scrambler 400 XE. The XE appears to be based heavily on the standard 5,795 Scrambler 400X, which is a cracking looking bike, sharing the same chassis, subframe and circular dash design, only with more advanced, longer travel suspension for off-road escapes and an aluminium bash plate for greater protection. So that seems like that is a proper Scrambler. Over in the road-friendly corner, we have the Speed RR. The big change here comes in the bodywork with the standard Speed's upright stance and flat bars swapped for a bikini fairing reminiscent of the old Speed Triple 1200 RR. Now, of course, the Speed Triple 1200 RR, they ceased making, didn't they? It was devilishly uncomfortable. Let's hope this small version of the bike isn't uncomfortable. I imagine it won't be. I imagine Triumph have learnt from that. But it's great to see that bikini fairing back again. I think everybody that saw the Speed 1200 said that it was a beautiful looking bike, and if you can get that same look with the small machine, why not? I mean, it looks great, doesn't it, on these Spy Shots? So don't know when they're going to be coming to market, but I imagine in the next couple of years we'll be seeing these. So yeah, maybe if you were thinking of getting a Scrambler or a 400X, might just be worth keeping your money in your wallet for a year or two, see what comes out. Although you can always say that about new bikes, can't you? But anyway, very excited to see what Triumph come up with there. Right, continuing on the subject of bargain bikes or budget bikes, Super Sport Thrills for just $6,699. Now, this is a new CFMoto. It looks to me absolutely cracking. Sports bike, a triple, reminiscent of things like the original Triumph Daytona. Well, I say the original, you know the one I mean, the 675. I think it looks absolutely cracking. And, the elephant in the room, of course, is that it's Chinese, and that always gets lots of people aren't too sure where to go with that, are they? But I think, these bikes are coming. Anyway, let's read what it says here. CFMoto's new 675 SRR costs just 6699. That's a bargain for an inline 3-cylinder 675cc super sport weapon with rider aids, aero, quality chassis parts, and raucous engine note, befitting of a Triumph Daytona 675 or MV Augusta F3 675. Also has a 4-year warranty, a year's roadside assistance, and a further 3 year when you get your 675 RR service regularly at a CFMoto dealership. And that may be the issue. I don't know where my local CFMoto dealership is. I think there are a few about and more planned. I need to look that up, actually. But this looks a cracker if you just want a fun sports bike, and if it sounds like a Daytona, you know, why wouldn't you, for less than $7,000? I mean, it looks really lovely. It's not due until the summer, apparently, so it's going to be a while before we can actually have a ride of one, but I very much would like to have a go at this. I'm a big fan of this new breed of sports bikes that we're seeing that are coming in a bit cheaper. Most of them, of course, are twins, things like the Suzuki GSX-8RR. Is that it? You know the one I mean. Which is a lovely bike to ride, but this being a triple, I think possibly even better and certainly cheaper. So yeah, I mean, I quite miss the fact that I don't have a sports bike in the garage. I keep thinking I must thin the garage out and get rid of some retros maybe, and I'd like to replace one or two with a sports bike. And maybe this is worth a whirl. I don't know, but it certainly looks good. Looking forward to seeing that when it comes on the market. Again, put your comments below on that one, whether you would go for it. I know it's Chinese, but would that put you off? Wouldn't me, having ridden a few Chinese bikes now. I think they're really getting there. Well, there you go. Just in an advert, answer my own question. It's the Suzuki GSX-8R was the one I was referring to. Anyway, creating a buzz is the next story. Has Honda's big value CB1000 Hornet SP got what it takes? Now, this is probably the most anticipated bike of the year. It's been all over the internet now for the last few months because you can now buy these. Of course, many people, including, I know a lot of you, have bought these. People like Land Chops and English Biker Dan have bought these. I had one for a while as well. I've got some videos up on my channel. They do very well. They're very, very popular. The interest is definitely out there. They look fantastic. And again, great price. How long that price is going to last, we don't know. These manufacturers have a sneaky habit, don't they, of bringing bikes in at headline prices that are incredible, and then a month or two later, sneak them up. So if you're after one, get your order in early, because I'll bet you these prices will go up in the next 6 months. I'd put £1 on it. That's how sure I am. But lovely bike. I really enjoyed riding it. Few corners cut maybe on the build quality. Some of the welds a little bit tricky. Some people have said not too keen on the matte paint on the SP variant, but a beautiful bike. Otherwise, it rides lovely. Classic Honda reliability. That 4-cylinder engine is beautiful and an absolute bargain. Anyway, let's see what it says here. I think we can probably guess. Right, this is John Urry commenting. He says, it belies its low price. Looking at the Hornet SP's price, I was expecting it to feel like it had a few corners cut, but nothing could be further from the truth. The SP responds, drives and handles like a bike costing considerably more than the $9,999 Honda are asking, and it does so with finesse and a wonderfully assured nature that again belies its wallet-friendly status. Honda have created a road-going super naked that has the right balance of performance and handling for road riders to thoroughly enjoy, and I completely agree with that. It's, I'm sure it is flying off the shelves. I think I read somewhere there's only something, I might have the numbers completely wrong, but I think there's only something like 800 of these bikes coming to the UK, something like 400 SPs, 400 of the standard bikes. So I imagine they'll be selling out pretty quick if they're not done so already. And I imagine Honda will be ramping up production on these because they are going to be flying off the shelves. But yeah, nice bike. What's the bet? And that's going to be Bike of the Year in MCM when they do their Bike of the Year thing. Don't know. Right, moving on to the next paper then. First story here. Back in the game. So this is the continuing saga of KTM and its financial woes. It says here, KTM to restart production in Austria following approval of a €750 million restructuring plan. So on the surface of it, this sounds like good news. Let me read you a few other highlights here, and then I'll give you my take on it. KTM's fight for survival has taken a major step forward after creditors approved a €750 million restructuring plan, allowing the Austrian brand to restart production at the Mattighofen headquarters and begin repaying debts. Under the terms of the deal, KTM will pay creditors 30% of what they owed in a one-off payment, meaning 70% of the creditor debt has been written off. Not great if you're a creditor, is it? You got 30% of your money back. But KTM still need to raise at least €700 million to meet commitments. This will require substantial external investment. Would you invest in KTM? To achieve this, Piera Mobility have called in Citigroup Global Market Europe AG to help attract $800 million in investment. It's unknown at this time who this will be. However, a late January release from Piera confirmed that offers had been received from several parties, with rumours suggesting BMW could be interested. So I've heard this rumour as well. Who knows? But my point really reading this, I mean, number one, it's great news that KTM haven't just disappeared, which is, was a real possibility when we talked about this in the last Bike News. And although lots of people are hailing this as, you know, KTM are saved, I can't help thinking this is only in the short term. They've still got to find that 700 million euros. That is not a small amount of money, is it? The creditors, if I was one, I'd be pretty pissed off having only got 30% of my investment back. It still doesn't sound good to me. It's great. I don't want to see KTM go under. Please don't think I'm a KTM basher. The world is better for KTM's being in it. And I hope that something comes of this deal. But I still think they've got a real uphill struggle. Would you buy a KTM at the moment? Again, let me know in the comments below. I'll be interested to see if you think this is the beginning of a brand new beginning for them and all is well, or whether you think this is just a stay of execution. Sadly, I think I'm not usually a pessimistic person, but I think the latter may be the case here for KTM. We shall see. At the end of the day, you've got to buy bikes. You've got to make bikes that people want to buy, haven't you? And in the right quantities. We'll see what happens to KTM. We shall keep an eye on it here in Bike News. Right, good news this time. Triumph top 134,000 sales. Brit brand celebrated eclipsing 100,000 sales for the first time. This is great news, and I think we can probably guess why they're selling well. Triumph are celebrating their best ever sales year with over 100,000 bikes leaving dealerships globally across 2024. A total of 134,635 machines were sold across the world in 2024. That's equating to a 64% increase on the previous year. Now, that is not a minor amount, is it? 64%. That's incredible. The greatest sales improvement was seen in India with 29,736 units, helped by the arrival of the Speed 400 and Scrambler 400X single-cylinder roadsters, built in partnership with Bajaj Auto in the country. And that was what I was thinking is where the growth would be. But looking at the numbers, it's the 400s in India have only accounted for 30,000 units of the 134,000 sold. So it's not a massive amount, but then it doesn't say how many have been sold in Europe and the UK elsewhere. I'm sure those 400s still account for a big chunk of that number elsewhere across the world. But great news for Triumph. If making smaller bikes and selling them abroad in other markets is the way to keep companies afloat, then fantastic. Crack on. Good strategy. Right, next up, Bag 8 Super Speed Triple. What do you think of this? This is quite something, a one-off speed triple that's for sale. It's made by Thornton Hundred. You remember the guys? Well, I say remember, they're still about. The guys that typically take bobbers and do custom work on it. Well, they've got this supercharged Speed Triple 1200RR drift bike, previously ridden at the 2023 Goodwood Festival Speed. It's now for sale if you've got 55 grand handy. Where did they come up with that number? Apparently, it's got 230 brake horsepower, only weighs 190 kilograms. It's got a Rotrex C30 supercharger, water methanol injection system, and a massively modified engine with bespoke forged rods and pistons. It's got a 14 grand extended billet swing arm, carbon wheels, titanium exhaust, active aerodynamics, and lean angle and braking sensitive electronics. Lean angle sensitive electronics. So basically, it's got everything if you want a fast, straight line motorcycle, maybe a drag racer or something. Anyway, if you fancy it, go and check out thornton100motorcycles.co.uk and make them an offer. Quite a thing. You'd have to hold on, wouldn't you, with that sort of spec? I'm glad those sort of bikes exist. All right, following on from that story then, we talked about at the start of Bike News from the Nürburgring. This one, Silverstone. Trackdays returned to Silverstone, but in limited numbers and priced at £329. Following a season-long hiatus in 2024, motorcycle Trackdays have returned to the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for 2025. However, the venue is currently planning to hold just 3 events for the whole year, all priced at £329. The new pricing structure makes Silverstone one of the most expensive tracks to ride a motorcycle on in the UK this year, with leading trackday vendors like No Limits and MSVT already offering a vast array of UK circuits choice for 2025 for considerably less. So does that make Silverstone an attractive proposition for you to go to at 329 quid for one track day? And then there's only 3 of them. It's unfortunate for me because Silverstone is my local circuit. It's 45 minutes ride away from me. And when I have done track days in the past, it's tended to be at Silverstone. But at that price, I would think twice about it. You know, I can go and do some flying for that money. I'm not a massive track day fan anyway, to be fair, but I think everybody should at least have a go on it. And riding on a circuit that's iconic like Silverstone is quite special, it has to be said. So, bit of a shame. This has been done because Silverstone said that their bike offering wasn't, mashing expectations. I imagine that it meant that wasn't mashing expectations of revenue rather than what people wanted. So I'm not sure that this is the right way to go. What about you? Again, interested in your comments below. 329 for a track day at Silverstone. Would you pay that? Or would you rather go down to Kent to Brands Hatch and pay considerably less and do a MSVT or No Limits track day there? I think I would possibly do that. Right, last story in this paper. The simple life. Amidst a sea of increasingly complex motorcycles, is it time to get back to the basic essence of biking with one of these beauties? And again, we've talked a lot, haven't we, about the Triumph singles in this edition of Bike News. Well, this is pitting the Triumph single, the in this case, the Speed 400, against the Royal Enfield HNTR 350, or Hunter 350 as I call it, and the Honda GB350S, which is the new entrant on the block as far as these small capacity, simple single-cylinder motorcycles are concerned. I haven't ridden the GB350S yet. I notice a number of YouTubers have done. I have asked Honda for one. I don't know why I can't get hold of one, but eventually I'll get hold of one. I'm not too worried about getting one quickly, but I'll get a review at some point. But I'm intrigued to see how it fares against the likes of the Triumph and the Royal Enfield. Honda, of course, known for their build quality and their reliability. The Honda comes in at just under £4,000. The Speed 400 from Triumph is over £5,000, and the Royal Enfield Hunter is similar to the Honda at 3,899, so under £4,000. So the Triumph, perhaps at over £1,000 more, maybe is a bit out of the competition if you're just looking for economy. But anyway, let's see what MCM made of it. This is from Jim Moore. Triumph is just better, he says, and it should be for £1,000 more, I guess. The Triumph is the best bike here, no question. It offers twice the performance of either Honda or Enfield, boasts a more sophisticated chassis, superior handling, braking, grip, and finish. And that's not a big surprise because, of course, the Triumphs are water-cooled, whereas I think the Honda and the Enfield are air-cooled, and that makes a big difference to the amount of power you can squeeze out of the engine. And my complaint with the likes of the Hunter was that it felt a bit underpowered, and some of these smaller capacity single engine air cooled ones do feel that way. So it's a bit of a shame to hear the Honda feels like that too. The Triumph definitely doesn't feel like that. For a 400, the Triumph feels pretty perky. Anyway, what else do you say? Honda GB350S has a lot going for it, but it's let down by a disappointing lack of performance, as a 350 single 20 brake horsepower simply isn't enough, especially on A roads. Well, that's disappointing to hear. I'm still keen to have a go and have a look at one, see what it looks like and how it stacks up against those other bikes, in my opinion. But I suspect, yeah, I'll probably end up agreeing with Jim. Need a little bit more power if you want to go on an A road or a dual carriageway in the UK than 20 brake horsepower, don't you? Anyway, again, interested in your thoughts about that. As a back lane, Sunday afternoon blaster might be a right hoot if that's what you want to do. Right, next paper. All right, always a bit of a surprise what I've marked out. Here we go. Triple, but not as we know it. Yamaha Hybrid blends a petrol engine with not one but two electric motors. Yamaha have developed an innovative petrol-electric hybrid powertrain, which could be heading for production in the near future. The system uses a combustion engine as well as two electric motors, allowing for multiple modes ranging from full electric running at low speeds to all three power sources driving together for max straight-line propulsion. It's known as a series parallel hybrid, and it's the first time such a system has been used on a bike. Now, I'm not a fan of electric motorcycles. I've ridden a few in my time. They do go fast, and there is a novelty factor. But once that wears off, I think the range, the weight, the cost, all that, suddenly they become less attractive. So manufacturers are always trying to find new ways to make electric work, aren't they? And this is interesting. My understanding of this is that you can the internal combustion engine can be used to charge the batteries if you want to, as well as drive the bike. Weird looking thing. I mean, clearly this is just a prototype, and I doubt it'll come to market looking like this. It says here, why is it different to a Kawasaki? It says here, the petrol engine can effectively serve as just a bolt-on generator, or it can drive the rear wheel directly. This increased flexibility should allow it to run even more efficiently across a wider range of riding scenarios, improving both fuel economy and performance. So it'll be interesting to see if Yamaha get this right. I think I read somewhere, I can't see it now, but the engine itself is only something like a 400. Oh, it's a 292cc single, they reckon. But when you combine it with electric motors, it performs like a 700cc bike. If they get the pricing right, they get the weight right, who knows, maybe it's the way to go. Yamaha are great at innovation, aren't they? Remember things like the Nikon, the three-wheeled bike, for example. They're not afraid of having to go at something different. So all credit to Yamaha for that. Let's hope this comes up and works out for them. We'll watch it with interest over the next few years. Right, the gateway to the NC500. This Cairngorm spot will set you up for a top ride. Now, this is a section called Out and About in MCM, where it talks about rides in the UK and cafes and things like that. So it always gets my attention. I'm always on the hunt for a new sausage sandwich location. This one caught my attention because I'm actually just back from a skiing holiday. Hello to those of you I met while I was out on the slopes. And this one is in Scotland's ski resort, one of them, which is Glen Shee. And apparently in the summer it turns into a biking destination because, of course, in the winter it's a skiing one if there's snow. Anyway, it says here, if you're heading through the Cairngorms, then make sure you stop off at the Glenshee Ski Centre. Although it's a hub for skiers during the winter, when the snow melts, bikers take over and have done for the past 10 years, much to the delight of the owners. So I bet they do. 3 out of 5 directors are bikers, so it's good to know you'll be surrounded by mechanically minded humans to help solve any niggling bike issues. The cafe also sits on the entry point to the North Coast 500. So if you're thinking of doing that in that direction, that would be the anti-clockwise direction, the wrong way around, I think. Then you could indeed call in then, or indeed on the way back if you're doing it in the other direction. Anyway, yeah, Glen Shee, well worth stopping by. Look at this picture, absolutely packed with bikers this summer's day. And a great spot, scenic, and, you know, I don't know if they run the chairlifts during the summer, but maybe they do and get a view at the top of the mountain. Not of the mountains at Glen Shee, really. They're more sort of big hills, but that's just me being snobbish because I'm just back from the Alps where there's definitely got mountains. Right, moving on. What took you so long? The all-new Yamaha R9 is finally here, and it's a proper cracker, and I'm thrilled to say I'll be getting my hands on an R9 in the next couple of months. In fact, I think I'll get it on the 17th of May, so it's a little while yet, and then it'll be a week or two before you see my videos after that. So about May time, I'll give you my view on the new Yamaha R9. I've been absolutely looking forward to this one. Possibly the most anticipated sports bike release this year, because, of course, it's got the CP3 motor in it from the MT-09, which is an absolutely cracking motor. It's a triple again, which I just think is a great engine. You know, all the smoothness-ish of a 4-cylinder, but the grunt of a twin, sort of. Best of both worlds anyway. Sounds great. And I think the R9 looks absolutely amazing, with maybe the exception of the headlight. There's just something about that I'm not too sure, but the rest of it looks great. Anyway, it says here, it was only a matter of time before Yamaha turned the MT-09 into a sports bike. Granted, it's taken 12 years. Blimey, has it been 12 years since the MT-09 came out? That's incredible. But here at the world launch in the Sevilla circuit in southern Spain, it's clear the new 12,250 R9 has been worth the wait. The R9 has a stiff new aluminium frame and is loaded with adjustable KYB suspension, Brembo stylema calipers, adjustable foot pegs, LEDs, cruise control, USB outlet, an app-based data logger, lap timer, and a raft of superbike spec electronics. They certainly haven't held back on this one, have they? Just like the best Triumphs, the R9 definitely mixes the grunt of a twin with top-end rush of an inline-4 to create an engine that is ready and willing wherever in the revs you want to poke it. So it sounds great on paper, doesn't it? Looks good on paper in the photographs. Love the look of the aero as well, which apparently only comes into place, I think, at 93 miles an hour or something. So no good on the road, of course. But it looks good. And again, thinking about, do I want a sports bike in my garage again? And the answer is I do. Maybe this is the one. Again, it gets me a triple, gets me a sports bike. I haven't had a Yamaha for a long time. Maybe this is the one, but I've got to save up 12,250 quid. Maybe I'll wait until after I've ridden it in May to make a decision. At the moment, my front runners, if I'm going to get a sports bike, are the GSX-8R, which I absolutely loved. I want to have a go on that CFMoto because that looked brilliant, and I want to have a go on this. These are the front runners for me. It could be, I'm going to be thinking about this for ages. Part of the joy for me about buying a new bike is doing the research, thinking about it, selecting and pondering. And once you bought the bike, it's done then, isn't it? You're then thinking about selling it and moving on. But yeah, so I'm kind of in that phase at the moment. Any other thoughts? Oh, the other one, the Panigale V2, also very keen to have a go on that. That's coming to the channel soon. I think I've got that in probably not until June. But looking forward to that as an X899 rider. If the new V2 is a bit more comfortable and a bit more accessible, maybe it's time for another Ducati. Oh, no, exciting times ahead. It's a great time to be buying bikes, isn't it? There's lots out there for us. Right, swiftly moving on before I go down a rat hole. Have Ducati done enough? Can a handful of upgrades put the new Multistrada V4S back on top of the Adventure Tourer podium? And again, I've got this one coming as well, I think, in June. So looking forward to riding the new... Oh, actually, no, I haven't got the V4. I've got the V2. Take that back. Anyway, so this is pitting the Multistrada V4S, 21.5 grand, against the Triumph Tiger 1200 GT Pro, 17,295, fully loaded, I think. KTM 1290, 17.4, similar price to the Triumph. And the BMW R1300GS TE ASA. It says here 19,900 for the GS, but if you spec it up with the stuff you want, it's going to cost considerably more even than the Multistrada, I'd say. When I spec one up, it came out at 24 grand. Anyway, let's see what it says about the Multistrada. Interesting, looking at the star ratings here, how times have changed. It's got the Triumph Tiger at 5 stars, the Ducati Multistrada 5 stars, the KTM 1290 4 stars, and would you believe the new BMW R1300GS 4 stars. So it no longer rates the GS as high as a Multistrada or the Triumph Tiger 1200, which is incredible because all the praise that came out on the GS when it came out, and now MCN is saying, oh, maybe it's not quite as good as the others either. Don't get me wrong, I love a GS. I own a GS. I just don't like the current version of them. I just find the electronics a bit fiddly. There's just too many little niggles about the bike that makes living with it a bit harder than the old GS was, so it's not for me. That's not to say it doesn't ride brilliantly, and if you're a more sporty rider, you'll absolutely love it. But anyway, my point is it's interesting now that it's no longer at the top of the tree as far as MCN is concerned. It says here, and this is Neevesy talking, there wasn't a lot wrong with the Ducati's outgoing Multistrada V4, but with its new upgrades, it's more refined than ever. It isn't as playful as the KTM, as comfy as the Triumph, and can't match the wind protection, night vision, and fuel economy of the BMW, but it offers the best blend of luxury and sportiness here and feels the most special, as Ducatis always do. The BMW may have lost its crown, but it's still impressive. It can sometimes be too sporty, though. Lacks some of the old 1250s warmth, I'd agree with that. And this auto version adds to its slightly sterile feel. You haven't ridden the automatic version, the GS, yet, and I don't really fancy it for some reason. And in the main, I'm a fan of auto boxes. Anyway, there we go. I would agree with Neevesy that the 1250 was just a bit more comfy than the outgoing GS. But anyway, this article is all about the Ducati Multistrada, and it's putting it top of the tree of big adventure bikes. So if you've got, how much was it? £21,495 burning in your pocket, and you like an Italian bike, then maybe the Ducati Multistrada is the bike for you. All right, last paper then. I only picked out 2 stories in this one. First one, it's a real triple treat. Triumph's most powerful speed triple RS ever gets semi-active Erlin suspension and edgy tech. Now, I think this looks absolutely lovely, and I think I'm right in saying this is the most powerful production bike Triumph have ever made. It pips the Rocket 3 by something like 1 or 2 brake horsepower, so it's a technical thing, but it does look absolutely amazing. I do love a speed triple. In the last few iterations, this has been a great bike. It sometimes gets eclipsed by the street triple, because the street triple, of course, a little bit lighter, arguably a bit more fun, and certainly a bit less money. And that's the downside, I think, of the new speed triple RS. Although it's fantastically capable, looks nice, got all the right stuff, it is expensive. It comes in at £17,495, whereas I think you can get a speed triple for something like 13. Anyway, it says here, this is Dan Sutherland talking, the new speed triple 1200 RS is a bike to be proud of. £17,495 on the roads. It's undeniably expensive, but it feels like an expensive piece of kit. It's nice. It's equipped with all the right designer brands in all the right places, and velvety 3-cylinder exhaust note that eggs you on and to chase the revs around the dial wherever you can. I'm sure it's beautiful to ride. And again, love a go on this one. Must have a little word with my friends at Triumph. The tweaks to the riding position make it a wonderful place to sit, and as a high-powered road naked, it could be a serious contender for the top spot this year. Do like the looks of it, I must admit, and I do miss my street triple. I've been wondering also, you know, in that debate, what new bike should I get next? Should I get a sports bike? I've also been thinking about the street triple again. Maybe I should start to think about this, but this is even more expensive at £17,500, and that is a problem. That's getting into serious money category, isn't it? I mean, all bikes are expensive, but once you get edging towards 20 grand, you've got to think about that, I mean, properly seriously. Anyway, what do you think of the speed triple? Do you think it's going to be a winner? I do. Right, last story before we get on to Parish notices. Eyes on the Tiger. Now, this again is a hotly anticipated bike of the year. This is the new Tiger Sport 800, which Triumph did very kindly ask me on the launch of. I turned it down. I've never been on a bike launch, and I don't intend going, but thank you for inviting me anyway, Triumph. It's a cracking looking machine. I love the Triumph Tiger 660, the Tiger Sport 660, I should say, which I rode when that came out. It had kind of the fun of the street triple, but all the practicality of a touring bike. Nice windscreen, sounded brilliant, nice and comfy. Really loved it. And again, another bike that I've seriously thought about getting in the garage, but now the 800 might eclipse it. So the Tiger Sport 800 comes in, if you want the yellow one, which I think is the one to have, it looks great, at $11,095. If you want the other colours, $10,995. So it's £100 more for the yellow. But I think that's the one to have. It just looks cool, doesn't it? I think it looks great. I cannot wait to ride this. Again, it's a triple. I am missing a triple. You might have noticed that. There's a bit of a theme in this month's bike news. Yeah, I cannot wait to have a go at this. I've been watching some of the videos of the people that did go to the launch. It's been heaped with praise. Everybody seems to love it. And they're saying the 660 was good, but this is just good plus, plus, plus. So I think this is going to be a cracking motorcycle. Cannot wait to have a go at this. In fact, I might speak to Triumph and see if I can get it longer than the usual couple of week loan, because it'd be nice to live with this for a while and really get under the skin of it, wouldn't it? Let me know if you'd like to see me do a more in-depth review of the Tiger 800, given I'm going to be a bit late to the party again on this one, whether it's worth seeing if I can get one as a bit of a long-termer. That might be worth thinking about, mightn't it? Anyway, there we go. Let's see what the verdict was from MCN anyway. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be good. This is from Phil West. Hello, Phil. We haven't heard from you for a little while, at least not in this bike news. The big revelation was that they're more, this is talking about the 660 and the 800. The big revelation was that they're more different than any of us expected. The 660 is such a cohesive all-rounder with enough sportiness and spec for a great price. The 800 raises the bar further still. It may look like the 660, but its performance, road holding and braking are at another level entirely. This sounds fantastic. Best of all, it delivers that in a package which is just right. The right proportions, the right spec, the right performance and the right price. Well done, Triumph. I think Triumph are on a roll at the moment, aren't they? I think they're just judging the market perfectly and getting out their bikes that we want at the right prices. So it's great that it's a British brand as well. So well done, Triumph. And yeah, can't wait to have a go on the new Tiger Sport 800. Right, I've been going on for a bit, already over half an hour, so just time for a quick look at Parish Notices, quick look at what's coming up. I'm still in my sort of winter period, so I'm only doing one video a week at the moment, and that will continue for a little while longer. The next video you're going to see on the 5th of April is one actually on all my bikes. Now, you may recall if you've been watching the channel, I went away to Spain for chunks of winter, and I took my Kawasaki Z900 RS there, so that got ridden a lot. Of course, that meant all my other bikes were back at home, sat in the garage, doing nothing, and it's no good leaving bikes sitting around, is it? So anyway, this is a video all about riding my bikes after they've been sat around for a couple of months, and was it all successful? And I'll give a little spoiler alert: one of the bikes didn't like it. So that's coming up next Saturday. Saturday after that, I'm probably going to do another Twits this week in the saddle. I like doing those; they're good fun to film. They are quite topical though, and they are filmed that week. So I don't know what's going to be in it yet, but 12th of April, look out for another Twits. And thank you for all the favourable comments on that series. People seem to like that, so I'll keep doing those. Then on the 19th of April, I've got my final ride on the Versys 1100, the big Kawasaki Tourer. The first video's done quite well on that one, so final ride coming up on that, and I'll give you my sort of final conclusions. On the 26th of April, not quite sure yet what I'm going to do that Saturday, but it may be Goldwing based, so stay tuned for that. And then the next bike news, one for your diary, is on the 3rd of May. That's another Saturday. And in between all that, I mentioned this before and didn't do it, but I am thinking of doing a live stream phone-in with a special guest or two. I love doing those. They're quite hard to... I get a bit scared about doing them because obviously they are live, and now I've got quite a complicated setup here doing phone-ins and everything else. But I think I've cracked the technology. I want to get in a good guest or two, and we'll do one of those, but it'll be at short notice. So keep your eye on my Instagram feed, which is Missenden Flyer, I think, and also Facebook, and also I'll announce it on YouTube comments as well, if I can work out how to do that. They're likely to be at 8 PM one weekday night, likely a Friday, or maybe, I'll say weekday, maybe, but I don't know when they're going to be, but it'll be 8 o'clock one evening, all right? We'll do a phone-in thingy. It'd be great to if you could join us then. All right, that's it for this bike news. Hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Missenden Flyer. Cheerio.